Yeah, okay. Not being a man to mince my words, you don't want to come to Peru. It's shit. Peru's got two things going for it. It's got the Amazon jungle, of course, which covers 400,000 square miles of Peru, and that's down the eastern side of the country, separated by the Andes Mountains that runs down the middle like a spine. There are some very nice nature reserves in the Amazon that receive a lot of tourists, and they're able to reinvest the money from the tourism into the place. So they've built some nice places you can stay in, nice accommodation. I'm not talking five-star hotels. I mean, you're going to be in the Amazon jungle, but you're going to stay in nice accommodation. They have professional guides. They'll take you on the river. You'll see every animal you could want because they're protected areas. So the animals grow there. I mean, you'll see everything from the snakes and the alligators and all manner of other reptiles. You'll see monkeys. You'll see parrots and what do they call them? The guacamayos, they call them here. What's it? Macaws. Yeah, you see macaws. Sloths, monkeys, and that's not to mention the plant life and the insects that are here. So I mean, these are wonderful places to go. I have to say, if you're going to come to Peru, this is I would highly recommend that. The other place in Peru that you want to come to, that you ought to come to if you can get around to it, is a place called Cusco, a city called Cusco, which is in the south. It's way high up in the Andes Mountains, so it's at something like 10,000 feet elevation, so there's not a lot of oxygen up there. You need to drink plenty coca tea to help you acclimatise. But again, they have, I believe, 2 million visitors a year at Cusco, so there's a lot of money comes into the place. And at Cusco and the Sacred Valley, which is attached to it, which runs along a valley within the Andes Mountains, that's got five-star hotels, and it's got every restaurant you could wish for, and it's a really nice place. And of course, the reason you would want to come there is because it has the world-famous Machu Picchu archaeological site. But that particular area is rich in Inca archaeology. You've got Lake Titicaca there as well. There's a lot of these sites that are built with these enormous stones that we don't even know today how the hell they moved them. This is pre-Inca archaeology, but there's a lot of Inca archaeological sites there as well. So I mean, those are two reasons why you might want to come to Peru. But when you're on the west side of the Andes Mountains, that's where the capital is, Lima. Lima is considered to be one of the most dangerous cities in the world. A lot of people go there to work and they get trapped there because there is work there and it pays well. So whenever they want to leave, they've got to think about the fact that wherever they go back to, they're not going to have the same amount of work available, and they're not going to earn as much money. So, you know, you're okay in Lima if you don't mind getting a gun stuck in your face when somebody wants to steal your mobile phone. They even have fake taxis there. They'll pull up at the airport and you put your baggage in the back, and then the driver will drive off, and then they'll pull up a back street and then stick a gun in your face and say, right, get out, and then drive off with your luggage. And then the other side of the coin is there are people who will get in the back of a taxi and then stick a gun in the taxi driver's face and tell him to hand over his money. So, I mean, Lima's not a nice place to be, and even without the crime, Lima's just a dusty shithole with concrete streets, and it's absolutely horrible. I can't imagine anybody wanting to live there by choice. And a lot of Peru on the western side is desert, and I've driven through it on a bus. And again, these are the most bleak, desolate places, and they farm there, and they bust their balls farming there because it's not easy to grow things, but that's their means of income. They're farming for you 12 hours a day. They've got to sink these deep wells to hit the water table just to get water. There's no water there. So yeah, great place, Peru. Yeah, welcome to Peru. Gee, it is hot today. It really is hot today. The sun today is vicious. I've had to come and find some shade to put the camera up because the sun was burning the tops of my feet. I've got my sandals on. So yeah, I didn't come to live in Peru. I came to live in the Amazon, and the Amazon is the paradise of the earth. There's a lot of people don't like it here. They don't like the insects. They don't like the heat, the humidity. There's a lot of mosquitoes and all that kind of stuff. So they don't like it. But for me, I just wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Now the towns and cities in the Amazon run up and down the east side, they're shit. The town where I'm in, Tamchiaco, is the nicest one I've seen anywhere. Not least of which because the local council are obsessed with collecting rubbish that people throw down, and people do throw down rubbish all the time. I've been to a lot of towns in the 10 years I've been here where there's rubbish strewn everywhere, and the council doesn't seem to give a shit. Also, they've spent a lot of money doing up the town because we're only 20 miles away from the city of Iquitos, which is a tourist trap. So they want to attract tourists here as well, bring some money into the town. This cough isn't going, I tell you, this is what, 3 weeks now? Just doesn't want to go. So you arrive at Iquitos, and then you've got a boat ride here. You've got to come on one of the passenger speedboats. There's no other access to Tamchiaco. In fact, they say Iquitos is the most isolated city in the world. There's no road access to Iquitos. You want to come to Iquitos, you've got to fly. You can come by river, but often that involves a tortuous route from wherever you are to get here by river. So you arrive at the port in Tamchiaco, and then you've got to go up a slope and some steps, and you arrive at the Plaza de Armas. Every town and city in South America, I believe, has a Plaza de Armas. Armas means weapons. So they're kind of obsessed with war here, just like they seem to be in the West. In fact, that brings me on to an interesting story I'll get back to here. So the Plaza de Armas, they spent a lot of money on it a few years ago, doing it up, making it nice and special. So we've got sort of on the first level here, we've got the Welcome to Tamchiaco sign. And then as we go up to the upper level, then we've got the plaza itself, which, as you can see, it's got little pagodas, and it's got the little covered area there. What do you call that? I don't know what you call that covered area. But the thing I really wanted to get into was at the far end of the plaza, where they have this statue of a local hero that they call Fernando Lores. Fernando Lores is a military hero. Now, the real reason I'm making this video is I have a friend in Canada who suggested that I make a video on some of the history of Peru, maybe the military history of Peru. This friend of mine was in the forces, so maybe that's why I was thinking along the military lines. But the big joke in Peru is that they've never won a battle. They do have military heroes, but every one of them has been killed in battle, and that's why they're a hero, because they were killed in battle. So I'm going to mention a few of those. Now, the only battle they did win in Peru, from what I can understand it, was the battle for independence. Of course, this was a Spanish colony, part of the Spanish Empire. That was initially led by an indigenous leader called Tupac II. And then it was taken over by a General San Martin. And Peru allegedly won its independence on the 28th of July in 1821. It was a bit confusing, that, because the War of Independence started in 1809 and went on till 1826. So how did they win independence in 1821, 5 years before the end of the war? I really don't know. One thing I do know is they were taking advantage of Napoleon, because Napoleon had invaded Spain and killed off the aristocracy there. And he declared his brother monarch of Spain, the new monarch of Spain. So Spain was otherwise occupied, and maybe he wasn't really sure or in a position to do anything about what was happening in Peru. I don't know. My true belief is that Peru didn't win its independence at all. That was just window shopping for the public, because a population tends to be happier if they feel they're in control of their own affairs. Not only that, but they're not going to revolt. not going to revolt against the government if you think that their government's their government, they've got independence. So yeah, I think the whole thing was a big lie. Interestingly, I think the same about the 4th of July 1776 in the United States. The United States didn't win independence. I mean, if the United States won independence, the first question would be, if it was 1776, why did the War of Independence go on into the 1780s? The second question would be, how the hell is it that the British Army entered Washington DC in 1814 and burned the city to the ground? There's still evidence in the White House of scorch marks on the walls. If you go for a tour in the White House, they'll show you these scorch marks on the walls and say, oh yeah, the British did that in 1814. And more than that, the strongest evidence of all is I have seen a white paper. It was a PDF that I downloaded from the UK government website, and the title of the white paper was Amendment Number 1. This was an amendment. It was an amendment to the original. The original wasn't there. I couldn't see the wording of the original. But the title of the paper was Annual National Insurance Payments by the United States to the British Crown. And this was an up-to-date white paper that was on the British government website. So America still makes annual payments to the British Crown. If they won their independence, how the hell is that? But anyway, I digress. The reason I don't believe that Peru won its independence is 90% of the country is still Catholic. If you go into any town or city, the biggest church or cathedral is always the Catholic Church. The method of government in Lima is very heavily based upon the Western system, on the Spanish system, on the system that was handed down from Rome. And there's always a lot of pomp and pageantry in Lima, where they have soldiers marching up and down the streets, which is a very Western thing. And why didn't they abandon all these when they had been imposed on them from Spain when they won their independence? Yeah, that's the big question. And the other thing is Peru has its national anthem. And its national anthem, I'm not even going to include it in the video. I was going to put a recording of the national anthem in the video, but it's so crap that I didn't want to do it. But yeah, national anthem. Again, the national anthem's a thing that we get from the West. So yeah, they may have think they won independence in 1821, but they didn't. Okay, this is the first Peruvian national hero. This is the top national hero. This guy's called General Francisco Bolognesi. Okay. He died in 1880. And you want to know how he died? Well, he died in battle. Of course he died in battle. He was in Lima. He's a general, okay? There was word that the Chileans were arriving at a port called Arica. Now, the port was in the south of Peru, and it bordered onto Chile. And General Francisco Bolognesi said, oh, we're not having any of that. I'm going to take a bunch of guys down there. We're going to kick their asses. But imagine the guy's surprise when he arrived at the port with his 1,600 men and found that the Chileans had brought more than 5,000 men. So yeah, the battle ensued, and he got his ass whooped. So yeah, big hero. Handsome guy, don't you think? This is, yeah. The port of Arica now is part of Chile. Then you got the second guy. This second guy. This guy's called was Admiral Miguel Grau. Admiral Miguel Grau again was fighting against Chile. Peru, even today, Peru are always scrapping with Chile, but Peru were always fighting with Chile. And it was in 1879 that this admiral set off with, it was just his ship and another ship that they called the Union. His ship was called the Huáscar. He was on the Huáscar, and he was with a ship called the Union. And as they were heading towards Chile to whoop some ass, they saw 3 plumes of smoke in the distance. And they thought, I hope that's one ship with 3 funnels on it. And then they saw another 3 plumes of smoke a little bit closer. and these Chilean ships got closer, and then apparently this hero, this hero Admiral Grau, he actually sent a message to his sister ship, the Union, and said, I think you better get out of here and save your ass. Now, Miguel Grau, Admiral Miguel Grau, he carried on to do his worst, which wasn't very much because they just went and sank his ship. So, yeah, that's Peruvian military hero number 2. Now comes the third military hero of Peru. Okay, I mean, there are more than 3, but these are the 3 that I want to mention. These are kind of the top 3. This one is particularly special because this guy was called Fernando Lores, and I think he was only got to the dizzy heights of colonel, but he was from these parts, and because he became a military hero, they actually named the district in which this town of Tamsiaco is. It's called Fernando Lores. It's named after him. He headed up the river. This was in 1933. He headed up there with his platoon to kick some Colombian ass, and apparently this Fernando Lores guy was just about the last man standing. And the last that was seen of him was he was running up and down like a maniac, shooting off his machine gun before he got it. But anyway, because he's this whole district is named after him, Tamsiaco is actually the capital of that district. They've got this bust of him in the town, so that's nice. Yeah, Peru's not got much of a military history.